If you're like me and over the age of 40, you might think you're over the hill and past your best, and there's no hope of going faster or running further and stronger on the bike. Well, there's still hope for us yet, because today I'm joined in this video by pro cycling coach Andy Turner to get some tips and advice on how to continue riding into your 40s and beyond. And I started by asking him a question that's right on my mind right now, and that's how recovery takes longer as you get older.
Yes, unfortunately, you can't train quite as hard, and when you do train harder, you generally need more recovery time. So junior youth riders, you can quite often have sessions in the morning and then maybe track sessions or cyclocross work in the evening, and they can recover from that very quickly. Whereas as you get older, especially over 40, you probably can't be doing double days like that. You definitely shouldn't be stacking intensity from one day to the next. So having recovery periods, so a structure you might have would be you've ridden at the weekend, so you have a rest day Monday, maybe efforts on Tuesday, recovery ride Wednesday, or longer, easier ride if you've got the time, efforts on Thursday, rest on Friday, and then weekend group rides or longer endurance rides, but making sure you're having that room for recovery in between, not having your sort of stacked interval days one after the other. And also accounting for strength work, you wouldn't want to be doing hard VO2 max sessions and then a hard strength session. So working out where you fit those in without compromising the rest. So maybe you'd have that active recovery day in between and a gym session on that Wednesday, maybe one on the Friday or the Monday, but making sure you have at least one day fully of rest or at least active recovery, because different people find active recovery, 30 minutes spinning easy, is more effective for them than resting entirely.
Do you actually need more recovery time in your weekly schedule? You need to accept that you need more recovery time because recovery takes longer when you're 40 compared to when you're 20.
Yeah, so whether that's within the sort of micro scale of the intervals themselves, potentially you've got longer rest periods between efforts or between sessions day to day, or even with the way that you load the weeks. Quite commonly people will do sort of a 3-week build period and then 1 week of sort of deload adaptation. It might be that for older riders, or if they've got busier work schedules as well, you do 2 weeks build, 1 week adaptation, varying it on basically the individual, their physiology and also their availability and circumstances.
Is there anything you do to speed up recovery when you're over 40?
There are a few various sort of hacks that people say can help speed up recovery, but the problem is they come with sometimes a decline in adaptation from training. So part of the way we adapt to training is oxidative stress and cortisol, which are, well, it's the stress hormone. We're always told that free radicals, oxidative stress, is bad. But in reality, it's in this sort of level, the way it's applied, it helps with training adaptation. So if you're doing ice baths or high antioxidant recovery drinks and such like that, you will feel more recovered the next day, but you won't actually be stressing your body in the same way to get the same training adaptations. There's sort of an argument that, well, if you can train day after day after day, maybe that's better for training. But equally, if you're not actually adapting, then is it worth doing? I'd say if you're doing things like a training camp and you want to be able to perform day after day, go out for rides with your mates, then things like cherry juice is something that's often used as an antioxidant supplement. But then the other benefit there is it has been shown to help with improved sleep. So big recovery tool for everyone is good sleep routines, good sleep schedules. Make sure the room isn't too warm, make sure you're not having a load of sugar or overstimulating your brain a couple of hours beforehand, so be that caffeine or phones, and trying to get the room nice and dark and consistent bed and wake up.
You lose top end power faster than endurance, and is there anything you do to slow down that decline in top end speed?
There's an element of the top end speed going in partly because when you hit sort of older ages, you have more muscle atrophy, so it's harder to build muscle, but also you naturally just lose it as you get older. And that's why the peak power side of things can often be an element that's blunted more. So you see like road sprinters, they tend not to have a particularly long lifespan in their career. The way to improve that would be the gym work, honestly, because you can either slow the decline or increase slightly the amount of muscle mass you have, and that will help with maintaining power.
Should over 40 spend more time in the gym and maybe like sacrifice a session on the bike?
I would say yes, because another element of aging is bone mineral density decreases. Osteoblasts and osteoclasts, which are building and breaking down bone constantly, the balance swings and you start breaking down at a slightly higher rate than you're building up. But by applying stress to the bones via impact or resistance work, which is why running can be quite useful in the off season, you can increase the rate of bone building and reduce the total amount of it that is declining in terms of bone mineral density. So it's very beneficial for maintaining structural health long term, for maintaining muscular health as well, tendons, ligaments, because quite often people get issues with those as they get older. So anything that's going to maintain that function longer, you're going to be able to ride your bike and enjoy riding your bike more effectively for a longer period of time.
Something else that helps you ride faster is today's sponsor, FTP Endurance Fuel. I'm a big fan of this product and used it at Badlands last year and it really helped me out. And there are two things I really like. First of all, it's a squidgy energy chew block that's both easier to digest than an energy bar and nicer and less sickly and messy than a gel. And then to cut down on individual waste and wrapping, you get one big bag like that and a small bag like this, and you put as many as you need for a ride from a big bag into a small bag. So help cut down waste, and that's no bad thing at all. And right now, you lucky viewers can get 15% off the price of a packet of energy chews right now at the website linked down below.
Warm-ups and cool-downs matter more?
I'd say this again varies person to person, but if we've got one individual who, when they're 20 versus when they're 40, it is going to be important to warm up properly into the session, build up to the intensity you're going to be working at, and also cool down properly afterwards. Same within the gym, you want to warm up into that and then cool down and stretch properly afterwards, or you're just going to feel it more the next day, really.
Does being consistent beat having big weeks on a bike, like training camp, for example?
Yeah, definitely. Because quite often when people go on training camps, they go from maybe 7 to 10 hours a week to trying to do 25 to 30. The reality is you need to kind of build up in advance of that to be able to deal with the stress that you're going to put your body under for the training camp. Otherwise you risk burnout or you risk even physical injuries. Be that, say, sort of a slight issue in the hip, knee, ankle, shoulders even. So you want to be able to build into it. And if you're not, then do take it steady. Don't see it as an opportunity to do as much as humanly possible, because it might not work then for the long-term plan.
Does position and comfort start to affect performance?
I had a chat with Phil Burt about this, for those who don't know, expert bike fitter, GB Sky, and he put it very well in terms of you have the fit window. And when you're younger, this fit window is massive. You can jump from bike to bike, you can ride the wrong crank length, you can have the saddle in the wrong place, wrong height, or the wrong bike frame, and you're fine. But as you get older, that window narrows, and you need to start being more specific in how you fit the bike. So quite often, shorter cranks is one of the areas that can help quite a lot because you're reducing the total range of motion of your hip, knee, ankle, all areas that can potentially get wear and tear and experience more stress. So if you can reduce the total stress on them, you can improve that, but then you have to accommodate the rest of the fit. The front end, how far the reach is, what the stack's like. So you probably have to be more careful with your bike fit and making sure that that is correct. So going from bikes to bike, you might have a gravel setup, a road setup, time trial. You want to make sure they do at least converge similarly in ways with some of the accommodations for obviously time trials more low and pro aero, gravel's a bit more upright for handling and stability. But yeah, you want to pay quite a lot of attention to making sure your fit on the bike is correct.
Do you have to watch what you eat more carefully in your 40s compared to when you're 20? You can eat anything and get away with it.
It's an interesting one because generally, as you get older, your metabolism slows. But then in terms of how that impacts people who've been exercisers from an early age and are still maintaining it, their metabolism may not necessarily change much, but it's a very individual situation. The big thing is if you're training more when you're younger and training less when you're older, you're using less total energy. So you need to periodize the nutrition based on the kind of work that you're doing. The other element of if you're doing strength work, you're trying to maintain muscle mass, there's some arguments that increased protein intake can assist with that. So ensuring you're having that, spacing it evenly throughout the day, but that's kind of why there's a whole thing about have your protein within 40 minutes of completing your session. The reality is it's not that important. Spacing it throughout the day is, but to be able to space it well throughout the day, you kind of want to start as soon as you finished exercise and then drip feed throughout the rest of it. So whether that comes in the form of meals, recovery shakes, and then ideally consuming with carbohydrates, because that helps boost muscle protein synthesis.
So hopefully some useful advice and tips for us older guys and women in today's video from Andy. Big thanks to Andy for sharing his time and expertise, and definitely some advice I would take into my riding over the next few weeks and months with some big events coming up on the radar. And let me know if you are over the age of 40 and what sort of advice and tips you've found helped you ride further or faster or recover more quickly. And if you want to find out more about what Andy offers as a professional coach, there's a link to his website down below. And make sure to check out today's sponsor, FTP Endurance Fuel, for your nutrition needs on your bike. But that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again very soon.